what's ripening YouTube. So I wanted to give a little bit of my thoughts and perspective on choosing nitrogen fixing trees for your agroforestry system. So the tree behind me that looks like a hat rack is Albizia lebic, and that one's been pruned heavily. The tree above me is another Albizia lebic, and these trees are also known as the mother-in-law tree, and you'll see why. This isn't a great example, but they get completely full of seed pods, and when the wind blows it just rattles, so it's a constant chatter. So that's why they call it the mother-in-law tree. This particular one, it looks like it's got leaves on it, but it doesn't. What you're looking at is passion fruit that's growing on the tree. There's actually not a single leaf of that tree on the tree right now. It's completely defoliated. And so thinking about that, in the wintertime, having no leaves, having full sun to the ground, or pretty much full sun to the ground, what can you grow underneath that tree? Is that a benefit to you? Here, I'll show you some younger ones that I've planted more recently, and they do have a little bit of leaves because I've been pruning them and they're kind of resprouting a little bit. But let's contrast that with some of the other species I have here on the property. All right, so above me here, this is an example of Lucena. It's not as big or robust of a tree as the Albizia, which is right here. Here's one that's been pruned. This one being tucked up underneath the tree canopy, it has not defoliated, but I've noticed that a lot of them do that are out in the open. They'll defoliate. We've got another example here of a service plant that I'm not going to be using just because it's got thorns, but this is it's called the Pride of Barbados, or the dwarf poinciana. As you can see, it's got some pretty severe thorns, so it's really not that fun to work with, but it does make a really pretty flowers, and it doesn't defoliate, so it will shade the ground. It doesn't grow very large. If you wanted something like that to be managed, I think a better option would be the pigeon pea, which I'm walking to right now. The pigeon pea in my climate does not defoliate. This is actually when they're in full production of peas. Here they are. Usually within a year, you've got, it depends on how you prune them, but you've got a pretty good size productive bush. You can prune these to be a bush, or you can have them as a tree. There's volunteers out here. So that's one for a short bushy. Could be a good one to keep near your small fruit trees to protect them from the sun, or to give them some cold protection in the wintertime. I've got another one I want to show you, and I got to walk across the farm, so bear with me for a second. Okay, so I'm walking through the mango grove, and I have right here ice cream bean. And the ice cream bean, it doesn't lose its leaves. It's always foliated. Now, in my case, I don't intend to let these trees be big. I planted them here as an experiment, and then now I've decided I'm just going to keep pruning everything off, especially when the trees are in flower. So I've already done it. They've already resprouted, but you know, a month or so ago, I took all the branches off this tree and let it resprout. In the meantime, my mangoes got full sun and lots of airflow. But I'm going to show you what they look like when you don't prune them. And we'll be right there. All right, so these are approximately 4-year-old ice cream bean trees. And in other parts of my grove, I pruned them quite significantly about a month ago. These ones I decided not to because I want to harvest the seeds and the fruit, and they're going to flower pretty soon. But if you'll notice, they're fully canopied. There's not much shade on the ground. Like, these bananas are kind of just sitting here waiting for light to come back to them. That can be a benefit. Having the shade and the protection can be beneficial. So really, you have to ask yourself, what is your intention with your agroforestry? Do you need sunlight at a particular time of year to stimulate flowering or fruit production? if you need that light, is it something that you can manage through pruning to bring the light in at the right time? Or can you use a tree that's going to defoliate anyway? And you can just work with the cycle of the tree. Obviously you can still prune it however you want, but to me it's really interesting to see the difference. Some of them are deciduous, some of them are not, and trying to figure out how to incorporate that into your system. So I just wanted to give that little tidbit. Hopefully that was helpful for somebody out there. Maybe not now, but someday when you're designing a bigger system and you're thinking more specifically about a main crop, you can think about what would I incorporate to fix nitrogen, to help improve my soil, protect my trees, but not take up too much light, or not take up or not give too much shade, you know, just something to think about. So I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.